Wind and solar generated 20% of all of the electricity consumed in the United States in April of this year. Missouri recently passed a new law that prohibits homeowners associations from stopping or putting undue requirements upon homeowners for installing solar. And Next Energy Technologies has announced a new technology for solar windows. I'm Jay Warmke with Blue Rock Station, and this is the solar news for the week of May 9th. Well, getting back to it here, wind and solar combined generated over 20% of all of the electricity used in the U.S. for the month of April 2022. Of that amount, 14% was generated by wind, 6% by solar. If you add in hydro generated electricity, which runs about 6.5% of the U.S. consumption, then all renewable energies combined generated over 25% of the electricity. This compares with just 2016, where only 9% of the electricity in the U.S. was generated from renewables. And hydro is an interesting case. The amount of hydro energy that's available has not changed that much over the years, but back in the 1940s, it accounted for about 33% of all of the energy consumed in the U.S. Of course, the same amount of energy, 33% in 1940, is about 6% in 2020. Missouri recently passed Senate Bill 745, which prohibits homeowners associations from restricting or prohibiting the installation of solar within their districts. The bill also provides a sales tax exemption for solar products. Now, Missouri now joins 26 other states that have similar legislation prohibiting homeowners associations from restricting the expansion of solar within their region. Ohio, in early part of this year, passed similar legislation through the Senate. It has not yet been adopted by the House. So when Ohio adopts this, then they'll be number 28 out of the states. The Department of Energy is offering a program to try to encourage agrivoltaics, which agrivoltaics is when solar is incorporated with the growing of crops, as well as grazing of animals, or even the encouraging of pollinators. And this program, which they have lovingly referred to as Foundational Agrivoltaics Research for Megawatt Scale, or wait for it, the acronym is FARMS. It's designed to try and encourage projects that are going to take this practice and raise it up to a scale that's going to be impactful throughout the nation. In the world of irony, Silfab, which is a Canadian solar manufacturing company, had announced that they were going to be opening the very first solar cell manufacturing, I shouldn't say the very first, but the only one in the US today that would manufacture solar cells in southeastern United States. However, the Department of Commerce has been conducting an investigation into China and their dominance of the solar cell, solar module, and even polysilicon industries. Currently, China handles about 80% of all of the export of polysilicon, which is the raw material needed to make solar modules, solar cells, and even microchips. But in this process of doing the investigation, they have essentially called into question and halted much of the exporting of this polysilicon. So Silfab has announced, well, the plans to open this factory are on hold because they cannot get the raw materials required to help break the Chinese deadlock. So now all of the activity that's been taking place to try and rein in the dominance by China apparently is not working. In 2021, the Chinese export of solar panels grew 60%. The growth of solar cell wafers grew 40%. And in comparing first quarter of 2022 with the first quarter of 2021, exports of these solar products from China are up dramatically. A new solar recycling company has announced that they've got a process that should be successful in recycling up to 95% of all the components in the typical solar module. The company known as Sunrun has stated that they can recapture silicon, silver, copper, and aluminum up from discarded solar materials. And in the world of new technologies in solar, Next Energy Technologies has announced that they have a prototype for a transparent solar window. Now, what makes this unusual is the process that they're using will actually harvest energy from the ultraviolet and the infrared spectrum of light, allowing much of the visible light to go through the window. But this is a film that is attached to existing commercial windows, so it doesn't require a retrofit of the windows within the building. Simply a film that goes over existing windows, harvests electricity from the UV and the ultraviolet, which you don't want coming in anyway, and still allows for visible light to come through. Now, there are other solar window manufacturers out there, including one known as Solar Window, and they have found that the efficiencies of these units are up to about 15% efficient, which compares favorably with the traditional solar panel, which comes in at around 22-23% efficiency. Well, that's the news from solar this week. We'll see you next week.